My name is Barry Peterson, and I grew up in the Midwest in the U.S. and have lived in the Hudson Valley north of New York City for a number of years. And about 3 years ago, I decided that I wanted to have a better lifestyle and a society that was more compatible with who I had become. And so I started looking for some place to spend my remaining years.
My name is B. Connor Pohl. Connor is my maiden name. Pohl is my married name, which I'm now divorced, and I'm with my partner Barry, and we've been together for 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
A little bit over 5 now.
Yeah.
And I lived in Nyack, New York, which is a small village off the Hudson River. I was a teacher. I just retired a couple of years ago from the city. I worked in New York City public schools under special education teacher. I taught computer technology and I ran the testing. And the reason why I decided to come is, one, I'm following him. That's one reason.
I thought I was following you.
No, I'm following you.
Oh.
Two is because, like him, I wanted a different life. And as a person who's more a grandparent, my kids are grown, I don't have any, other responsibility except to be with him. It was to me more sensible that I find a different way to live. We want something at the end of our lives that we are happy, and that's why we decided to look for the other countries. So Barry and I had been doing research for about 3 years, I think, before we decided which country we settled on. There were several countries that were of interest. The first country was France. I myself loved France. I speak some French, so I would be able to navigate. But once we went there, Barry doesn't speak any French, and being in a country where it make it difficult because the language was not good. Even though I still love France, I still love Paris, but it's not a place where we wanted to live. Then we decided, let's go look at Scotland. And Scotland is because Barry has a lot of connections, a lot of friends, religious connections are there, the Unitarians, which he's part of, and has been to their church, and the people he knows very well. That was more a familiar place. Plus they spoke English, so he didn't have to learn another language. The only difference was because of the politics.
Yeah, I've been to Scotland a number of times and loved it. Loved the culture, the history, the people, and I'm also involved with a chorus there in Edinburgh. And B and I have been to the Fringe a time or two and have brought one of her plays there, actually. So, however, and I'm a Mackenzie and a Grant and a Macaulay. Now we're getting into the Scotch-Irish, but it's the Royals still have their claws into Scotland. The new Labour government in Westminster is not really offering much. Brexit seems to be dragging them over the cliff economically, or at least stagnating. And the movement for independence has faltered. So reluctantly, we put that behind us and looked to Ireland.
And how we started with Ireland was basically, as he said, as I said, my maiden name is Connor. And doing history research, I found out I had a great-great-great-grandfather who was from Ireland, Carlo to be exact, who came to America, Louisiana, and settled there. And it started as a research project, but then ended up being, wow, all these different beautiful places in Ireland and all these different beautiful towns and the people, everything just seemed to connect. And that was, he said, okay, let's look into Ireland, and we came here and stayed here for I think it was 3 weeks.
Yeah, fall of
driving
03,
all around.
23.
We went from one end of Ireland. We started in Dublin, ended in Sligo, Galway, Ennis, Shannon, Kinsale, Cove, New Ross, Wexford, Waterford, Carlow. I mean, we went to every town we could think of that we thought might be a place for us to find a place to settle down, and ended up falling in love with Ireland.
And the southeast, which is a little less rainy,
and cloudy,
a little less cloudy.
Yeah,
and
not that much, but a little bit.
Yeah, people in the States said to us, "Well, gee, you're thinking about Ireland, doesn't it rain
all the time
there?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, now let's define rain.
Yes.
Is 1/100th of an inch of soft rain, 10% chance? Is that really rain? No. Rain is what we get in the Hudson Valley, New York,
That's
where
right.
4 inches downfall, and then you have floods.
Yeah.
That's rain."
Mm-hmm. So Clonmel wasn't the original place we were going to buy a house. Originally, we were looking at New Ross. Then that changed. Then we looked at Carrick-on-Shore and Waterford, and those changed. And then in Waterford, while we were visiting Waterford, we met two Irish couple who became a couple of our best friends. And they knew we were looking at Carrick-on-Shore and all these different places, and they were advising us, you should look at this town, Clonmel. And Clonmel, because they said, we understand you're looking for a place where you don't have to own a car, where the butcher is around the corner, where the baker is around the corner, where everything is in walking distance. But not, a rural area where you have to worry about driving down a dark road at night when you get older where you can't see, which we spoke to several people that said that's basically what happens to a lot of people when they come out here to retire. They're in their 70s, their 80s, whatever, and they live in these country homes and then have no way of getting sometimes to drive. Their eyes go bad. It becomes difficult to drive on the dark roads. It becomes a danger. And now they're stuck in their homes and, have to depend on delivery systems.
Plus,
we didn't want that. So,
plus, we wanted to be involved in a community, physical community. I've always believed that place is really important.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of a virtual reality, I'm sorry, I'm a Luddite. If I can talk to somebody face to face, if I can walk down the street and go to a fruit store, that feels good.
Yeah. So we decided, let's take a look at Clonmel. And it was just so happened, the type of properties when we were looking for, we used DAF.ie. There was one called My Home IE, and there was another one I think called Property IE. Mm-hmm. And that's how we were looking at our homes as a guide to when we got here to really visit these places. And this place just happened to be in DAF.ie. And I saw it, and then my best friend in Ireland, she saw it. We're like, we're looking at the same house. Oh, wow. She said, you got to come to Clonmel and take a look at it. And we came, looked at the house, and Barry fell in love with the backyard, which has a 12th century church tower in view and an old castle wall in view right in our backyard. And that was it. We decided this is the house for us. Mm-hmm.
It's a terrace house and has 2 bedrooms, and it's just our size. And it was in
2 bedrooms and 1 little attic room.
Yeah, it was in good shape, and we got it for half the price that I had gotten from my house in the Hudson Valley.
So that's how we got here.
Well, first of all, I feel safe here. In America, there's a crazed worship of guns, and which leads to all kinds of violence. Not here in Ireland. I just saw a note that in 2023 there were only 3 people killed by guns in Ireland. That's reassuring. That low number. Also. People in the States seem to be totally oriented toward me, I want it now. I don't care what the fallout is from my actions. Somebody else can clean it up. That's not who I am. That's not the kind of society I worked for decades.
Or they could care about the fallout of how it affects your community.
Right.
So there's a
Right.
big sense of community here. Everybody takes care of everybody, even if they know you or don't know you. I mean, it's a constant thing on, they have a website on Facebook, it's called the Clonmel Community Help Site. It's where people ask for clothes for their children if they don't have the money, or someone who lost their wallet, or someone who's looking for their lost dog, or whatever. And people respond positively to it. They don't say, oh, you're on your own, or I'm not even going to bother helping you. It's like, okay, I got somebody that can help, or I got somebody I can refer you to, or I got somebody who knows about the dog and I can tell you where it is, They're always willing to help each other. I don't get that in the U.S. You will hardly ever see that in the U.S. Maybe there is a small town, but that town is very rare.
And also, I've noticed in the 1 year I've been here, and again, that's not a long time, but my initial observations are that there's this sense of charity and kindness, which I don't know why is that? Is it if you're oppressed by the English for 800 years, you've got to figure out some way to live and control what you can control? Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Maybe it's the Celtic Druidic tradition. Maybe it's the positive teachings of the Catholic Church. But there's a kindness and there's a charitable attitude and a consideration for others that I feel in general here much more than in the States.
And me being someone of color, walking around the neighborhood, I don't feel that, who are you and what are you doing here, and that kind of attitude. I've never gotten that since I've gotten here. I've been here a year and I've been in a whole lot of things, but I've never got a negative type of feeling. The racism in the United States is totally off the hook right now.
And being encouraged and growing.
And promoted. And here, I'm getting people who just love you for who you are, not for the color of your skin. So, and Clonmel, I find, is very diverse. There are a lot of people of different ethnicities. There's a lot of people who are East European, Euro-Asian, Indian, from India. A lot of people from Nigeria, Kenya, Brazil. I even met a woman from the Dominican Republic. Yeah. There's a guy who lived, the people next door to us is an American and someone from the Philippines. So, it's such...
There's a Polish bakery 2 blocks around the corner. There's a mosque being built right across the street from the big Catholic Church.
There's a Ukrainian pizza guy that we got familiar with, Vito. We talk to him all the time.
Ireland seems to have built wonderfully on immigrants and immigrants being accepted and going to work and becoming part of the community, and that's impressive, and that's the kind of society that I want to live in.
The first time when we were going around to the different cities and towns in Ireland, we ended up in this pub in New Ross, which was a really quaint pub. They didn't have TVs. So there's no television, so you could watch the sports or anything like that. It was a bunch of older gentlemen sitting around talking, having beers, talking about the everyday stuff that's going on in Ireland or the U.S. or whatever. And we got into a conversation about how we were saying we wanted to buy a home here and we would like to integrate ourselves in the community and be a part of the community. And basically he said to us he said to me anyway, he says, the only way you become part of the community is you have to integrate yourself. You have to become involved in the community. We were looking at buying a condo at one time, and he said, well, I'll tell you, buying a condo is going to be hard to integrate because everybody is basically boxed into their own little environment in each little apartment, and there's not a lot of the community effort that goes on. But he says if you get a house and you live in a community in town, you should go out into the town and immediately become part of the town. because once you, and I find this true, once I joined the Dragon Boat team and got involved with the theater guild that's here, and got to volunteer and work at different festivals and stuff, we found ourselves being part of the town, not a separate entity or someone, and we're not considered new anymore. You know, everybody's like, hi, B, and they know you by name, and you never have to worry about, oh, do you know who I am? Oh, I know who you are. You're B, you're Barry, you know. You become a part of this family, you know. You become part of the community. You are part of the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've gotten involved with the chorus. I'm a monotone masquerading as a bass, but I have been accepted into a community chorus. And I'm also in a boat club 2 blocks away. And I also enjoy the Tidy Town effort. These are local volunteers who clean up, fix up, trim, prune, take care of litter, and we meet weekly to do some project. So I have enjoyed getting involved, and through that you share some of your talents and efforts, and earn your keep as a citizen, and meet really good people. Cost of living, we find it's less expensive. The food here is better than, because you have EU regs, I guess, prohibit some of the additives that they have in the States. It's cheaper, it's better, the food. Restaurants are about the same, we think, as what we would have. Gas and electric is a bit pricier, although we got the credit that every household got last fall from the government.
And not being citizens, that was given to
we
anybody
were
who
happily
owned a
surprised
household.
about that. But that to me, that said something to me, that the Irish government is supporting Ukraine and trying to boycott Russia, the aggressor, and that puts a burden on energy bills. And so the government said, okay, we'll help out with that. That to me is the way government ought to operate.
Yeah, to me it tells me that they're willing to help all of us. It's not, if you're a citizen, we'll give you it. It's if anybody who has a household that's contributing to the economy of Ireland gets a piece of this. So that was the one thing that I know the U.S. does not do.
Medical bills, for $1,800, we got health insurance for the 2 of us for a year. B had a little bit of a medical scare last fall. We called the ambulance. They were here right away. Very good bedside manner, very competent, very nice. Took us to the emergency over at the hospital.
Tipperary University Hospital.
They did all the tests, checked her out, everything was fine. And 3 hours later we were home, and the bill was €100.
Whereas
in the States, you would have waited for hours. You would have add 2 zeros to the bill. Also there's an €80 cap on pharmas that you buy per month. So the government has said, you know, people shouldn't have to go bankrupt buying pharmaceuticals. So those are very healthy and handy financial arrangements. You want to say something about the visa process?
Yeah, so the visa process, which I looked up before we came here, was I got the information. It's called from a site called customerinformation.ie. That gives you everything you need to know, not just about visas and getting your visa, but everything that's considering of if you want to come and live in Ireland, if you want a residency. So it tells you about the health care, which we found out about, getting private health insurance, things like that. Concerning the visa part, when we came as visitors, which you only allow here for 3 months. After the 3 months, you have to leave the country. Now, I've heard people who have gone out of the country to Spain and come back in, and it resets the clock, and they get to stay for another 3 months. But that becomes a little monotonous and not really viable. So what we did was we did a lot of research before we came here, and then when we came here, I found out, okay, we want a stamp 0. Stamp 0 is the visa that you get for residency, and that will give you a year of what they call temporary residency. To me, it's more than temporary residency if you're staying here for a whole year. But you get a year, and it's renewable every year for 5 years. So we decided, okay, let's go for that. But there were certain conditions, such as you needed to, first of all, you had to have a PPS number, which you can apply for once you're here. Then you would need $50,000. 50,000
euro income.
And that is not just for a couple. It's usually, it depends. If you're married, it is 50 for the couple. But for us, since we're not married, it was 50 per person. So we have to both show that income, and that income came into Social Security, pensions, money you have in the bank, the house you own, if you have a house here.
You also need to have a couple of 100,000 euros in assets,
yes.
Whether cash or a house. And those financials have to be verified by an Irish accountant.
An Irish accountant. You cannot use an American accountant. You have to use an Irish accountant to verify that. That's what we had to do.
And then you have to show that you are not a criminal from your local police department, and that you're not deathly ill from your doctor.
That's right. So you're not coming here to die. All right.
And you're not coming here to be a
and not vacation. To be a burden.
And you're not here for vacation.
Right. And under the retirement visa, which is what we apply for, there's 5 different visas.
Yeah.
So there's all these different type of visas, and each of them have their own different requirements. If you go onto the customerinformation.ie, and I have to tell you, customer information ID is like social services in the United States. So whenever you go, like the office for the customer information is right back here at the hospital, where we went to go get information concerning getting married in Ireland. So, but basically it's several different visas, and they explain what each is necessary. So we needed to do all that. Once we did that, you send all this documentation in with bank accounts. It has to have bank accounts and everything else. Even though it's verified by your accountant here in Ireland, you still have to send the whole package to Dublin, including you have to send your passport. So you're going to be staying here for how long it took us? Like a month and a half before we got it back. And if they approve it, what they do is they'll stamp your passport with what they call a stamp 0. It'll be saying you are allowed to stay in in Ireland for 1 year up to this date. And our date is April 2026. So we know every year, we applied for it in December of last year. So December of this year, we will go for a renewal. Renewal is very simple. It's getting the initial one that takes a lot of work, because
but there's one other requirement, and that's that they don't want, the Irish government
can't work,
doesn't, not to work, but also not to be traveling all around the world. This is not a vacation home.
Forgot about that.
So you're limited to around 90 days out of the country. If you spend more than 90 days out of Ireland, they may question the renewal of your permit.
And this all will come out when you have your first meeting with your immigration officer, because that's the start of it. He tells you all the requirements once it's been approved. He stamps your document, he stamps your passport, he does everything that needs to be done. But he will explain to you, once you get approved, you are not allowed to be out of the country more than 90 days. The monthly amount that we would spend, I would say it has to be about $3,000 a month.
Not $4,000.
No, because $4,000 only increased because of that gas bill.
Well, plus we
had stuff when we went to Scotland
and we
to Edinburgh.
Part of our budget also is going to the States to visit family and friends, between $3,000 and $4,000.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's lower, because like if we didn't have this big gas bill, we shouldn't have a big gas bill in the summertime. In Ireland, I have to say that I'm kind of surprised that public transportation is not how it is in the U.S. So don't come over here thinking if there's a bus, it's going to be here at 12, because it's not 12, it's 12-ish. Everything here is ish, except for the trains. The trains run pretty good, but there's not a lot of them. That's the difference. So just keep that in mind. If you don't drive, then you gotta remember, do not get frustrated when you don't see the bus come.
And have a backup plan.
And backup is, we didn't have one.
Taxi.
One time we got stranded.
Yeah, we got stranded in Carrick one night. We went to the Clancy Brothers annual festival, and like they had a big event with 4 generations of Clancy's at Brewery Lane. So, hey, fine, we'll take the bus over, fine, and we'll take an Uber back. But the Uber canceled half an hour before.
Never showed up.
So here we are.
Took our money, never showed up.
10:30 at night. We're over there.
11 o'clock. No buses going back to Clonmel. And Barry's asking, is anybody going to
Yeah, so
Clonmel?
I knew what to do. I knew that there would be some kind Irish
3
couple.
people who came out of nowhere and said, I'll give you a ride.
If I let
home.
it be known that we were stranded, I had confidence that some...
We had 3 people volunteer to take us home. And even my friends that live in Carrick that I knew on my boat thing, they said, you should have called us up. We would have came and took you home. I'm like, never would I find this in the U.S. So I'm like, look at this. 3 people take it, and they don't even live in Clonmel. They live in Pillstown and Carrick, and they're still going to take us home to Clonmel. So that is the one time I just have to say, when transportation...
But we can get to Kilkenny. Kilkenny is good because you got the cab on a bus goes every couple hours.
Yes, more money, but that's a more reliable
and also
transportation.
down to Fermoy. We went to a panto in Fermoy because the Cork goes there and goes late.
But I just want to give people to, rein in their expectations on transportation.
Especially if they come from an urban area.
Yes,
where,
like New York, where everything is like, you got 5 trains
buses,
and
subways,
buses
trains.
Yeah, you got to remember that. Or any other place where it's a big metropolitan area and you think it's going to be the same.
Yeah. I would say the humor that many people...
The crack. And it's not C-R-A-C-K. It's C-R-A-I-C. I would say the history that is everywhere, tragic though it often is. The beautiful countryside, the green fields, the stone walls, the hedges. You said 5. Don't keep going.
Well, let's see here. Some of the cultural activities that we've seen are very local, very organic.
The crack is right. That's number 1. And crack means a joke. Everybody has a great sense of humor.
Good spirit.
Good spirit, good everything.
Communal.
You're interrupting my... Come on, let me get my stuff out. I love the cultural events and the cultural things that happen in here. I love the fact that the people always say hiya. Everybody says hiya, hiya, which means hello, or how you doing, or what's up, or how's your family, or whatever. But I love the hiya. I love the view when I come out of my house and I see a mountain in front of me. And even all my friends go like, oh my God, your view is so beautiful. And it is. And the other thing I love is, like he said, the history. The history behind Ireland and all the places that it pertains to. Everybody's got a castle. There's a castle in every town in Ireland. And that just makes me even more happy that we got one too.